So, Chris, what are folks needing to know right now? It's about 1:12, and we're not too long out from this starting to hit some portions of our area.
Yeah, you have a little bit of time left to get out and get whatever you need to prepare to hunker down here for this ice storm that's going to be developing here later on tonight. We're still well above freezing. We don't have any precip in the metro Atlanta area, but we are watching here in parts of northeast Georgia. This is the area where we think we're going to start seeing that freezing rain first. Now, we already have seen in parts of North Georgia at onset of some of this precip, what was happening is as some of this precip was coming down at the beginning, the air was still dry and it was causing a little bit of sleet in some areas as it was evaporating and cooling down the air around it. But now the air is starting to saturate a little bit more. And what we're going to be watching is, I'm going to kind of get a little bit closer here so you can see, this is going to be the area through the afternoon in northeast Georgia where we're going to see things starting to switch over first. So even still in northeast Georgia, I think you're going to be fine here for a little bit. But in these highest elevations, like in the northern parts of White County here, up closer to Helen, and in those highest elevations getting over closer to the Suches area, we may already be seeing some of that changing over into a little bit of freezing rain. But that's mainly in those highest elevations there. I really think once we get to mid-afternoon, we're going to start seeing more of the pink that's going to be developing here in northeast Georgia. So that's going to be the first phase of what we're watching with this changeover from rain over to freezing rain. And the reason it's going to be starting there, I know you've been hearing us talk about the wedge so much, but that is the main ingredient with this system. It is that shallow layer of cold air at the surface that's going to be draining in from the north and the east. It actually does have a meteorological term. We called it cold air damming. And the reason it is called that is because you get this cold air from the north and the east, and it gets kind of dammed up here by the mountains, and it just drains down into our area, pushing that cold air toward us. And it does usually make it over the mountains here, and including the mountains, but that's why a lot of times the wedge doesn't totally impact northwest Georgia, like Dalton, Calhoun, Rome. Sometimes their temperatures are warmer there in a wedge situation because that colder air doesn't always make it to them. But what it does is that cold air just kind of hits the mountains and it's dammed up. Cold air damming, all right? And that pushes down to and toward Atlanta. Then the big question is, how far south is it going to go as we have that cold, shallow layer of air at the surface, while at the same time, we're going to watch this moisture moving in, up and over that. And look how that moisture is building out to the west. Now, the main part of that, even though there's a little bit trying to develop in northeast Georgia, the main area of rain that would become freezing rain is still going to be a while before it gets here. It's going to be mainly during the evening hours tonight when that moves our way. And that is also going to be the same time when those temperatures begin to drop tonight, getting to freezing around 8, 9, 10 o'clock tonight with the moisture moving in over that. So it's going to be tonight, overnight, into tomorrow morning when we're going to be experiencing the active freezing rain. That is raindrops in the air. It falls to the ground or hits a tree, and if that surface is at freezing or below, that's when it becomes ice. So it's not ice in the sky, it's not ice in the air, it is liquid, but it freezes once it makes contact with a surface. Now, you can see how it is getting more active there in Louisiana. Look at Mississippi, northwest Alabama getting more active there. Tennessee is seeing mainly snow there. We're not going to get the snow part of this. We're going to get the freezing rain part of this. And we have multiple states in winter storm warnings right now. Goes up to New England here, up to Maine, stretching all the way back through Texas and even into New Mexico. And then the purple that you see there, that's where we have the ice storm warnings. And that's what we have over our area, an ice storm warning for North Georgia and Metro Atlanta, roughly north along I-20 northward, but it does include Henry and Clayton County. Now, this is different from yesterday, too. Remember, these counties on the south side were included in a winter storm watch. The National Weather Service upgraded that to a winter weather advisory, and they even added a few more counties into that, like folks down in Pike and Lamar County, just north of Upson County. You're included in that, as well as down north of Macon toward Jones County and Monroe County. They have been added into that, too. So the ice storm warning means we are looking in any of these areas here for ice accumulations, dangerous travel also power outages that are going to be widespread, and it's going to be worse in some areas than it is in others. We think it's going to be worse in northeast Georgia, where it's going to be major, talking about ice totals over a ½ inch, dangerous to impossible travel, widespread power outages there, roughly Gwinnett County, north and eastward, and progressively worse the more you go up toward the north. Then in Metro Atlanta, ice totals 1/4 inch to a ½ inch, including that area out I-20 on the east side in northwest Georgia. Difficult travel, also scattered power outages here. And then on far south and southwest of us here in this minor category here, you're still going to have some ice glazing to maybe up to 1/4 inch, slick travel there, and some of those isolated power outages too. And of course, Melissa, these temperatures are going to be very, very critical as to how this rain is going to move in, how long it's going to be ice, and how long that ice would possibly stick around.
And you know, it's amazing, Chris, how mild that some of these numbers have gotten this afternoon before that wedge builds in. We're up to 47 in Atlanta, but tonight, as the temperatures drop, the first areas we're going to be watching to become slick in terms of driving, that's going to be bridges and overpasses, like what we can see from our tower camera on top of the station. You can see this is a live look. This is Buford Highway and I-85, just northeast of downtown Atlanta and the downtown connector. And it's that part of the I-85 stretch where if it's not brined well enough, it could be one of the first places to get slick. And the reason why is the ground holds moisture, or warmth rather, and it's going to take longer for the ground to cool down than bridges and overpasses. Let me explain over here. Here's a look at kind of how in this setup tonight our temperatures are going to fall and what the temperatures of the road versus a bridge or an overpass are going to be. With bridges and overpasses, you have colder air that's going to go on top of them and under them. So it loses that heat a lot quicker. Watch the number dropping, 36, 35. As we get down to 34, this is taking longer to drop. So we're going to end up seeing that those bridges and overpasses are going to be the first ones to turn slick and icy. Even as we go through the overnight tonight, those are going to be the ones that we see the problems first. Even if your temperature is only 32 degrees and you're maybe on the southwest side of the metro, watch for those bridges and overpasses. Those will be the first to become slick and icy. And then, Chris, as we see area-wide temperatures dropping into the 20s by tomorrow morning, it's going to be any of those roadways that turn very slick and icy, especially northeast of Atlanta, where the ice, the freezing rain amounts are going to be a lot higher.
And I really am concerned about the cold, really cold air coming in for next week, too. I'm hoping on Sunday we'll be up above freezing for a long enough time to at least kind of curtail the growth of the ice out there and maybe get rid of some of it. But we're going to be cold again, as you mentioned, Monday morning, and then barely above freezing Monday afternoon. And then Tuesday morning, we're down to 15 degrees. And then throughout the rest of the week, we start warming up a little bit more, maybe upper 30s on Tuesday. Wednesday might be the warmest day of the week, getting up to 41 degrees. So a lot of these slick spots are going to be hanging around for a while. The sun coming out will help on Monday and Tuesday, will actually help to kind of eat away at some of that ice, even if those temperatures are still cold. So a lot of things we're going to be watching through this week. So we still have that 11 Alive weather impact alert in effect through the weekend and into Monday. Because of the freezing rain we're expecting tonight and into tomorrow, but for Monday morning, it's because of the cold air, and whatever's left is still going to be slick. So continue preparing for, planning for travel issues. Don't be traveling out there tonight or tomorrow, and also those power impacts as well. Plan ahead for maybe some prolonged power outages, especially up in northeast Georgia, but some power outages here in the metro Atlanta area too.
All right, Chris.